Coming up on the Lost Topic podcast, when did not having a public opinion become an opinion? When did gaming creators become expected to comment on wars? Why does refusing to make political content make people think they know exactly what you believe in? Today we're talking about the internet's obsession with turning silence into a statement. Has anyone else noticed that these days, not saying anything is saying something, apparently? Because generally that wasn't always the case. Think back 10 years ago on YouTube. Gaming channels played games. Cooking channels cooked. Car channels reviewed cars. No one expected Gordon Ramsay to stop halfway through a steak recipe to give his views on international politics. No one expected PewDiePie to stop halfway through an Amnesia gameplay to discuss Parliament. No one expected Markiplier to open up one of his horror gameplays to discuss foreign policy. And now, silence itself is interpreted. And it's fascinating when you think about it. Ask why. Maybe because social media has blurred every line these days. Every creator now exists on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Everything has become like one big giant public square. So audiences began to expect creators to start acting like almost public figures. But here's the problem. Being well known doesn't make you qualified. Just because 70,000 people are watching doesn't make them magically know more about geopolitics than the average person. And why do we assume that popularity equals authority? Because they're not the same thing. And on another point as well. Imagine if someone asked you, what's your opinion on the economic reforms of 1990s Argentina? You'd probably say you don't know. I know I would. But no one would attack you for it because you didn't know. Yet if someone asks you about a modern issue, suddenly I don't know becomes you support the enemy. But why? Because it's a huge, logical jump. And this is why I think social media has turned everyone into teams. Humans naturally like tribes. That's just the way we are. Football, politics, gaming, Apple versus Android, Xbox versus PlayStation, Marvel versus DC. Everything becomes teams. And social media amplifies all of this. And what doesn't help is that the algorithm loves conflict. Conflict keeps people scrolling and conflict keeps people interested. Nuance doesn't. If someone tweets, it's complicated, no one shares it because nobody cares. But if someone tweets, everyone who disagrees is evil, millions of impressions because anger spreads, outrage spreads, and certainty spreads. Now also ask yourself, what happens when every issue becomes a football match? Just because, it's the World Cup at the moment. You stop trying to understand, you just cheer your side, and that's dangerous. Because life rarely works that way. And this is where we have the death of nuance. I think this part deserves, an entire section. People treat every issue like there's only two possible incomes. With us or against us. Nothing else exists. There's no in between. There's no I'm not getting involved. Or I don't know what to say. But reality isn't binary. Maybe someone agrees with the humanitarian concern but disagrees with the political strategies of what's going on. Maybe someone cares deeply but doesn't feel informed enough to speak about it publicly. Maybe someone chooses to donate privately. Maybe someone volunteers locally instead. Maybe someone wants their gaming live stream to remain a place where people can escape the news. Social media often has no categories for these sorts of people. It always tries to force two people into two separate boxes and then asks, what box are you in? If you're part of neither box, people will create a box for you. Now I ask myself another question. We're asking a lot of questions today. Does having a platform create a moral obligation? I understand why people think creators should speak. I totally understand that. If someone has 10 million followers, the words are generally getting out there and reaching people. That's true. That's the way it is. Fundraisers have happened because of creators. Blood drives, charities, disaster relief, that's all real. But then ask, where's the line? Should every creator or only large creators? And if so, how large? 10,000? 50,000? 100,000? A million? Who gets to decide that? Is a live streamer who's playing chess every day morally obligated? A knitting creator? A fishing creator? A VTuber? A speedrunner? A musician? There's no obvious answer. Now imagine you're live streaming and your chat comes in and they start spamming vote Labour, vote Conservative, stand with Israel, free Palestine, join my Discord, buy Bitcoin, subscribe to my OnlyFans, join my Minecraft server. If you ask them to stop and they don't, you moderate. Not because you agree, not because you disagree, because chat rules exist. Otherwise, moderation would just become impossible. Every timeout suddenly becomes, he supports blah, blah, blah. No, not at all. He's just enforced the same rule. And that's how moderation works. Otherwise, moderators become politicians. And when people come into your chat, some people they're not looking for a conversation. They're looking for reassurance. They want to know, are you one of us? It goes back to it being a tribal thing. Policies, gaming, football, music, movies, everything. If you answer correctly, you're welcomed. And if you refuse, people just assume the opposite. And that's social pressure. When did disagreements stop being enough? Now people want declarations. What? Sorry about that. Someone was at the door. And this is the big distinction. Not everyone who posts is helping, and not everyone who is quiet is doing nothing. Some people donate anonymously, volunteer, call MPs, help refugees, support local charities. You'd never know. And meanwhile, someone may tweet 10 hashtags a day and not lift a finger offline. The point isn't that online advocacy is meaningless. It's that it can absolutely raise awareness, coordinate fundraising, and connect people with resources. The point is that a public post is not the only meaningful form of support. And you often can't tell what someone has or hasn't done from their social media feed. Have we started confusing visibility with virtue? Live streaming means a lot to me, personally, right? I wouldn't be where I am today, and I wouldn't be in the opportunities I am in today without live streaming and without everyone watching. But I know that my live streams are a place for people to escape. And some of my audience, they're lonely. Some of my audience don't have anyone else. Some of them have awful jobs. Some are carers, and I have a lot of respect for carers. Some are students stressed out about their exams, especially this time of year. And some have just had a terrible day. When they click on my live stream, they're escaping from all that. And they're allowed to. It's not forever, just for a few hours, And I feel like that has value. Entertainment isn't trivial. Laughter isn't trivial. Switching your brain off for a couple of hours isn't trivial. Those things matter too. And now when someone asks, why don't you want politics spoken about in your live streams? I could say, because politics don't matter here. This is a place for people to escape. Because this place has a different purpose. Now, if I comment on Palestine, do I then comment on Sudan, Congo, then Yemen, then domestic politics, then the elections, then the climate, then immigration, then tax policies? Who decides? And when am I allowed to stop? Because there'll always be another issue in the world that someone believes is more important. And that's why a lot of creators draw the boundary. Not because those issues are unimportant, but because a gaming channel can't become a platform for every major global issue without ceasing to become a gaming channel. Now, the reason why I've explained all this isn't because I want to make some kind of political statement. It's because I've experienced something recently that perfectly illustrates the problem. Someone came into my live stream, started spamming Free Palestine. They were asked politely to stop because we don't allow spam in the chat. Doesn't matter what the message is. They continued, they broke the chat rules, and they were moderated. And instead of saying, Ben timed me out for breaking the rules, they instead went to my comments in my videos and was telling people I said no to Palestine, which, quite frankly, simply isn't true. I made a short video explaining what happened. Well, I've been told I shouldn't bring any attention to this, but this little creature right here is going around saying that I said no to Free Palestine. Let's get the wording right, shall we? Now, this guy came into my live stream, started spamming Free Palestine. Now, when I'm live streaming, we're playing video games, right? We're not a political channel. We're not a news channel. We're not an activist channel. We just play video games and try and make people laugh. So when you come into my chat and you start spamming Free Palestine, and I ask you to stop and you continue, don't go off in a mood when you get muted. Now, I only muted you for 60 seconds, but after the 60 seconds, you then came back in and continued again. So you got muted for the rest of the live. And now, I didn't say no to Free Palestine. What I said was, it's got nothing to do with my live stream. And I don't like spamming as well, so you're going to get muted or banned, you know? I don't understand how difficult of a concept that is for you. We're playing this. What's this got to do with Palestine? Get a fucking grip of yourself. Jesus. And I thought that would be the end of it. And instead, the comments weren't about what actually happened. They became demands that I publicly declare my political beliefs. And some people decided on my behalf that because I don't discuss politics on my gaming streams, that they already knew what I believed in. And then others said I had a moral obligation to use my platform to speak about it. And that's when I realised that this is not about me. And this isn't really about Palestine. It's about a growing expectation that every creator must perform their beliefs. And if they don't, people feel more than comfortable inventing them. You are absolutely entitled to disagree with my approach. If you think every creator should use their platform to speak on political issues, that's a position you're free to hold. My point's different. I don't think me not making political content gives anyone permission to assign beliefs that I have never expressed. My channel exists for games, laughs, and giving people a break from the world for a few hours. That doesn't mean the world doesn't matter. That means this corner of the internet has a purpose. If that means someone wants to unfollow because they want creators to use their platform differently, I generally respect that choice. But I generally hope we don't reach a place where refusing to make political content is treated like evidence of what someone believes in. I don't think that's fair, and I don't think that's healthy. I know it's been a while since we've had a podcast episode, but I've been very busy lately. I'm going to try and upload some more. Write down in the comments below what you think. If you think I'm wrong, let me know. If you think I'm right, let me know. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out now.